Peace, everybody. I just had some things on my mind. I'm sitting here at work. But before I even get started, let me say something clearly. This message is not about division, right? It's about identity. It's about truth. It's about finally understanding who we are and where we come from. It's a lot of misinformation out there right now, right? See, for generations, we've been fed everything except the truth about our origins. We've been told we're disconnected. We've been told we're lost. We've been told we're indigenous to America. We're not African. We've been told our story starts on a plantation. But nah, our story is older, richer, deeper, and way more powerful than any of this stuff that we're hearing and anything that this country has taught us, right? So today I'm laying it all out. The culture, the history, the science, the lived experience. And I'm about to put it together in this one message. African Americans, so-called African Americans, are not indigenous to this land. Some people might have ancestry that's connected to this land. Some people might have like a small percentage of native blood in them. You know what I'm saying? But we're not indigenous to this land. And, now all of a sudden for the last few years, people think they've stumbled upon this newfound information that none of us are from Africa. And we're, it's like this newfound information that they got out of nowhere. Nobody has been saying this up until recently. Now all of a sudden everybody think they got this newfound information, right? We're basically displaced people with roots that run straight back to the African continent. And knowing that doesn't weaken us, it actually strengthens us. You know what I'm saying? The proof we carry without even trying. Let's start with culture. The things we do naturally, right? The things nobody had to teach us is proof that we have a connection to Africa. We have ancestry. The things that survived, the ships, the chains, the plantations, and the centuries. Let's start with music. The rhythm, the call and response, the soul. That's Africa. Look at our food, the seasoning, the creativity, the way we turn struggle into flavor. That's Africa. Look at our head wraps, our hairstyles, our spirituality, our community, the structure, our slang, our swagger. None of that is random. None of that is American made. These are cultural fingerprints that people will not admit. They're like afraid to admit that that's where it comes from, right? We didn't create these things in America. We preserved them in America. That's the difference, right? So let's talk a little bit about history, right? The part that they hoped we wouldn't read, Now let's talk about history. The transatlantic slave trade wasn't a rumor or a lie or a myth. It wasn't exaggerated. It's documented, recorded, counted. It's tracked. You know what I'm saying? So all these people talking about that it didn't happen and it happened differently, like y'all on some weird stuff. We know the ports, we know the ships, we know the tribes, we know the regions, we know the kingdoms that were targeted. We didn't just show up in America. We were brought here. And that truth is painful, but it's grounding. And, a lot of people right now, today's day and age, are like trying to make it seem like that stuff never happened. And that's just like crazy to me. So let's bring in some science. Because feelings are powerful, but facts are undeniable. So you can be in your feelings about not being African all you want to, but that doesn't make that doesn't change who you really are. Doesn't change your DNA. You can talk all you want, but that doesn't change your DNA. You know, African American ancestry back to Africa is West Africa, Central Africa, sometimes East Africa. The markers are clear. The patterns are clear. The lineage is clear. It's not about your grandmama talking about we're Indians. Science confirms what our spirit already knew. Your grandma didn't have no DNA. Their grandparents didn't have DNA tests and things of that nature. So I don't want to hear that. My grandmama said that we Indians. India, is it real Indians or in India? So why are we saying all of this? Why does this matter? Because identity is powerful. And when you don't know who you are, the world will tell you who to be. When you don't know your roots, you start fighting for branches. You start arguing over labels. You start searching for belonging in places that were never meant. You know what I'm saying? So never meant for you. But when you know your origins, you know your lineage. When you know your people, everything changes, right? So just think about that. You know, we need to be trying to unify with each other, not divide each other as if American black people are better than Africans some type of way. We're not. And here's the part that really hits me deepest, that we're not alone. It's you know, millions of us across the world, in the Caribbean, in South America, in Europe, in Africa itself, all carrying pieces of the same story. We are a scattered family, a global community, a diaspora that survived the greatest displacement in human history. You know, and some of us just don't want to connect to that. They think we're just something different, and we're not, right? And now, for the first time in centuries, we have the tools, the technology, and the freedom to reconnect. Some of us are choosing not to. Some of us are choosing to try to disconnect themselves from the motherland, which is sad because it's just creating division. These FBA people and indigenous and Indian and all these weird names that these people are coming up with, it's just really creating division. It's not helping us. So let me close with this. So-called African Americans are not lost. We're not disconnected. We're not without a homeland. We are the descendants of kings, queens, warriors, farmers, builders, artists, thinkers, people who came from one of the richest continents on this planet. And it saddens me that people don't want to connect to the richest continent on the planet. They want to claim this dry North and South America. You know, we are African people, reshaped by America, but not created by America. We did not originate in America. There's no evidence of that, right? Embrace the truth. The moment we stop running from our roots, the moment we reconnect with our brothers and sisters in the continent, that's the moment we become whole again. This is our story. This is our identity. This is our power. And you know, for those of you who don't want to connect with that, go off and do your own thing, but don't speak for us. Don't speak for those who know who their ancestors are and know where we come from.